Today is Friday, February 15th. What to know about the president declaring a national emergency at the border. Plus, why Amazon backed out of its HQ2 plans. JPMorgan launches its own cryptocurrency, and baseball's walking miracle. Welcome to the Newsworthy. All the day's news in less than 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. Today, President Trump is expected to sign a spending bill to avoid another government shutdown. Trump must sign it by midnight tonight to keep federal workers working. The AP reports Congress passed the legislation and sent it to the president last night. If it gets his signature, it'll fund the government through September, and the border security compromise will provide $1.4 billion for 55 miles of fencing at the U.S.-Mexico border, which, as you know, is only about a quarter of the money Trump wanted. And that's why now President Trump is also expected to go ahead and declare a national emergency at the border. An executive order meant to get more funding for more of his border wall without needing Congress to give the thumbs up. But that's where it gets a bit complicated. While President Trump says this is needed, some top Democrats say they may file a legal challenge, that Trump is not allowed to declare that type of emergency. And some people from both parties worry it sets a dangerous precedent, where presidents in the future can declare emergencies for any issue, whether it's border security or gun control, not just natural disasters. So this is not over just yet. Stay tuned. It's official, William Barr is the new Attorney General. The Senate confirmed President Trump's nominee, and he was sworn in yesterday. Now he'll oversee the Justice Department, and that includes the ongoing Russia investigation. The New York Times reports some are hopeful Barr will bring stability to the department. Barr already served as Attorney General under President George H.W. Bush in the 90s. Remember, the president's first Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, stepped down back in November, and Matthew Whitaker has been filling in since. So what can we expect from Barr? NBC News says he'll likely support Trump when it comes to things like crime and immigration, but he says he'll let special counsel Robert Mueller complete the Russia investigation. The Washington Post reports many people are waiting to see whether Barr will let Mueller's final report be public. A disgrace. That's what President Trump is calling his former FBI Deputy Director, Andrew McCabe. It's all because of what McCabe said during a 60 Minutes interview that'll air this Sunday on CBS. In a preview, McCabe said top Justice Department officials were so shocked after Trump fired the former FBI director James Comey in 2017 that they talked about trying to get cabinet members to remove him from office using the 25th Amendment. He also admitted to starting the investigation surrounding Trump, looking into whether the president obstructed justice by firing Comey and if the president had been working with Russia. Well, Trump is not happy about the statements. The Hill reports the president says McCabe is not credible. The White House says he was fired for lying to investigators. And top Justice Department officials now say his story is inaccurate. Heavy rain caused flash flooding and mudslides in California, and authorities say the risk for mudslides in some areas continues today. Dozens of people have had to evacuate. The AP reports a debris flow already took out 2 homes and several cars in a Northern California neighborhood yesterday, and areas near past wildfires are also vulnerable to mudslides. Accuweather reports Palm Springs, California saw half a year's worth of rain in just half a day. Amazon is backing out. The tech giant says it will not build its second headquarters in New York City after all. The reason? Amazon does not feel welcome anymore. The second headquarters, or HQ2 as it's known, could have created around 25,000 jobs in New York. But Reuters reports some local lawmakers and unions were not thrilled about the $3 billion in tax breaks and incentives for one of the world's richest companies. And Amazon no longer saw it as a positive collaboration. Although one poll showed more than half of New Yorkers were actually excited for the plans. Remember, Amazon ran a year-long sweepstakes of sorts, getting cities across the country to apply. In the end, Amazon chose to split the second headquarters between Northern Virginia and New York City. Now the Wall Street Journal says Amazon will only move forward with plans for Virginia and hire more in other areas. Oh, and by the way, General Electric also reversed plans for its new headquarters this week, but in Boston. The Boston Globe reports GE plans to sell the property and give back $87 million in incentives it got from the state. Much more news ahead, but a quick break to tell you about today's sponsor, Zola, the easiest wedding registry and so much more. Zola offers all of the tools you need for planning your wedding all in one place, making the process so easy and so efficient. I wish I knew about Zola when I got married a couple of years ago. It would have kept me organized and less stressed. And I would have loved to have more interesting things on my wedding registry. With Zola, you can create funds for anything you want, from your honeymoon to your future home. Plus, you can register for gift cards to your favorite brands, and of course, get all the typical things on your wedding registry as well. So yes, you can have your dream Airbnb getaway next to some high-quality kitchenware. And you can put that registry right on your free wedding website with Zola, which takes just minutes to set up. So check it out and get started with your free wedding website. The Newsworthy listeners also get $50 toward your registry on Zola. So go to zola.com/newsworthy. That's zola.com/newsworthy, spelled ZOLA.com/newsworthy. Now, back to the news. One of the nation's largest banks just made its own cryptocurrency. CNN says JPMorgan is launching the JPM coin. It'll have a fixed value of $1. It can only be used at JPMorgan banks, and it will not be available to everyone, at least not yet. The new coin is causing some controversy, though. The New York Times reports JPMorgan CEO called cryptocurrency a fraud just a few years ago, and even told his employees if they used it, they'd be fired. Well, he apparently regrets that now and says he supports cryptocurrencies. Payless is planning to go out of business. Reuters reports the shoe store is filing for bankruptcy for the second time in just 2 years, and this time it'll likely close all of its 2,000 stores. Payless has been looking for someone to buy the company, but has not had any luck. Payless plans to file by the end of this month and will start running liquidation sales. It's one of many retail stores that have filed for bankruptcy in the last year as more people are shopping online. Oh, and speaking of shopping, a new report says holiday sales were a big disappointment. The National Retail Federation says sales in December were down 1.2%. CNBC says that's the largest drop since 2009. Experts blame the trade war with China and the stock market. Then again, some experts wonder if the government shutdown affected the data. The world's largest passenger plane ever built won't be made anymore. Bloomberg reports Airbus will stop making the A380 double-decker airplane, which holds more than 500 passengers. Airbus made the decision when Emirates, Airbus's biggest customer, cut its order by nearly 40 planes. Now most airlines want smaller, more efficient planes. After 12 years of making the huge plane, Airbus says it will make its last Airbus A380 in 2021. They're calling him a walking miracle. Pitcher Danny Farquhar had a brain hemorrhage in the dugout last year during a Major League Baseball game. He spent nearly 20 days in intensive care, and now he's back on the pitcher's mound. Good Morning America says Farquhar reported to spring training this week, and he's pitching for the Yankees. Farquhar says he thought he was never going to be able to play again, but doctors say he defied the odds. Breaking Bad, the movie, will be coming to Netflix and then later AMC. The Hollywood Reporter says the film will be a sequel to the popular series. Also in entertainment, Nickelodeon hopes to keep young kids watching traditional TV, and so it's bringing back some old favorites. Remember All That and Are You Afraid of the Dark? Us Weekly reports some of the original cast members will be coming back, and Variety says Nickelodeon is also releasing a spin-off of SpongeBob and Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? And that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening. And of course, if you want to read more about any of the stories we talked about, just go to the homepage of thenewsworthy.com, then click episodes and look for today's date. And if you got value out of today's episode, be sure you are subscribed. Just hit the subscribe or follow button on your app. It's free and it will make sure you get new episodes each weekday. The Newsworthy is ready for you to listen every weekday by 4 in the morning. So I'll be back with more news on Monday. Have a great weekend.